We got ourselves team 1 together with Adrian joining in for the team 1. Dalok's in that team. Dalok's here. We got Kyrax. Hopefully we'll see some unholy gameplay. Troop gonna be first up at Zafix in the back. Troop going in. And it looks like it's gonna be maybe, what are you doing? Sepsis. Wait, what? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do not have a keybind for 5th. Hold on, boys. Looks like Arthur is gonna be first up over for the team 2 chat. Trying to see if he can hold the fort. It looks like it is going to be Adrian charging out, trying to see if they can collect their medal here. Going to be Arthur with wings. Mad burst. Oh, as the trinket comes out by the monk, Arthur's already meeting him with a gavel and a big divine storm. What is this burst of paladins, man? Dude, paladins are so nutty right now. But Arthur knows he doesn't actually turning around. Mad burst on a troop. Just hit him with a nuke. What was that? Arthur, what are you doing to him? Arthur, leave the boy alone. You don't need to cut him in half right now. Man, you're doing like a Houdini trick. I'm gonna saw my assistant in half. And he goes in with a Trump's verdict. Jesus Christ, Arthur. You're not an arcane mage. You're not a wizard. You're not trying to make the man disappear. Please. I want to keep Troop alive in one piece, man. The boy doesn't deserve it. Atherman tried to see if he can back up out of there. Shield of Vengeance, Blessing Protection, immediately rotating this immunities. Doesn't want to find out how hard Troop hits. The Troop actually could be in trouble if Arthur reaches him. Oh my god, them Templar's verdicts. This man is literally committing these boys a death sentence all in his own some. Gonna be Kyrax trying to see if he can maybe make a play. Gonna be a slow onto Atherman. Got himself the swarm rolling in. AMS to follow. Looks like was able to overpower Atherman. I'm not really sure what exactly Kyrax did to do so, but was able to overpower the paladin, going for as much self-healing as they can while they got the Lichborn. That's going to be a flame sigil by Gennari. Gennari, I want to say Gennari. It's going to be a gargoyle joining in. I haven't seen a gargoyle in PvP in so long. Check out a Gennari with a quick blind, just trying to let him reset, just going for a bit of CC. Gennari trying to go for an AoE stun, silenced by the Death Knight, locking out the Demon Hunter, trying to see if he can maybe cut him out, maybe looking to get a new pet. Looks like potentially had to sacrifice his main pet, or had it killed and just trying to pull it back. Maybe just trying to let Gargoyle take down Gennari. Got himself all those slows. Did get a pet back up and running. Gonna be a Sigil of Fear around the corner. With Gennari trying to see if he can cleave right through Kyrax. Big Blade Dance to follow. The Demon Hunter had no help whatsoever. Kyrax got himself AMS and does go for the last cleave onto the DH, striking him down. With Flame Tongue Ua gonna be up next. Flame Tongue. I'm just gonna call it Flame Tongue UA maybe? Flame Tongue Unstable Affliction. Potentially, Kyrax is actually given an opportunity to give himself a bit of a reset. Is Flame Tongue giving him an honor duel? I feel like that may be potentially the first honor duel, but Kyrax goes in. What was that heal, by the way? That was the fattest death strike I've ever seen. Kyrax was at about half his health and just chopped himself off. Flame Tongue trying to see if he can maybe survive. There's going to be a pre-wall on that blind. Is trinketing, and Kyrax seeing that trinket stuns him, just has him locked down for a second, building up for a bit of damage. Gonna be a silence out of Flame Tongue as he gets himself the army that join in. Flame Tongue may be in a bit of trouble, may want to somehow disconnect, maybe knock back all these pets. Needs to be looking out for his own self-healing as best as possible. Ellie blast back-to-back for Kyrax, but Kyrax just survives it, just skips walking ahead of him like the walking death that is the Death Knight, the walking juggernaut that is unstoppable. Leroy trying to see if he can maybe swing around towards Kyrax. Nobody's given this Death Knight really much of an honor duel here. Everybody's trying to see if he can shut him down. Leroy charging in, building up a little bit of resources. Is going to get himself a bit of a backflip. Imprisoned onto Kyrax with a Fear Sigil and the silence. Trying to see if the Kyrax is controlled as fully as possible. Going to be a big hunt to follow. Kyrax taking a bit of damage. Got himself Lichborn immediately, potentially running the town that reduces the damage they take while inside of Lichborn. AMS, grippy hand is up. Trying to see if he can yoink Leroy out of that safety of darkness. Leroy does reverse the stun back into Kyrax. Somehow his I-beam does get cancelled out. Blind by Kyrax. Is going to be a stun to Leroy as he sees a trinket out of him. For Kyrax, he got himself a bit of healing off of that stun, maybe a silence. Leroy goes up in the air. Kyrax is going to find some cover behind the pillar. Leroy has his demon under him. They could slay any moment to catch up a lot of healing. Went up in the air, he still got metamorphosis, so he's got himself a lot of leech. Kyrax tried to use whatever mobility they got just to stay away. Is the pet still in play? Looks like the ghoul is still in play. Leroy out, just catching up to Kyrax, literally could double jump over this pillar. This pillar isn't even line of sight for the guy. He can just get around it just with a couple of leaps. It looks like Kyrax maybe is holding back, trying to get some cooldowns of his own. Got himself death back potentially. May have to use it early. Unless he's got himself a way to break out of the CC. It's going to be AMS ahead of time. Leroy trying to see if he can back up out of there. Getting going back in. Stun to Leroy. Kyrax sent up some damage. Got himself the Armor of the Dead. Potentially has himself enough to kill. Does go for the pet stun to follow. Chaining stuns back to back. And this Death Knight is playing this very, very carefully, like very, very measured. The Rogue, wise, what are you doing? Sepsis. I gotta make sure I get my words right here. It's sepsis. The ability of sepsis. Evasion out of the Rogue, gets hit with the blind. Looks like Q-Rex is using the blind to try to see if he can force some trinkets out of these boys. 5 minutes into the duel, 4 minutes finally closing in. Q-Rex super low in health. Gonna be a bunch of CC back to back. Looks like Sepsis was able to take down Q-Rex. Got himself AMS. Some of that poison damage is gonna be absorbed, but still worrying about his own health. Does trinket immediately. Gonna be a blind out of the Rogue. Let's try to see if he can back up out of the Gargoyle is not letting him go anywhere. It's down onto Q-Rex. I think he may just have this Death Knight ready here. And looks like Sepsis was able to take him out. Q-Rex did a pretty good job holding the fort for his team, honestly. With Zafix going to be up next. Sap out of Sepsis. And this man needs himself as much recovery as humanly possible. So this is actually, chat, this is actually very, very interesting because now we get to see what the eyes are in this arena. So it looks like there's an eye all the way by the tower, watchtower on the right-hand side of where Team 1 spawns in. And there's one on the right-hand side of where Team 2 spawns in, kind of like a far range, away from many pillars, which I think is going to be much easier. You pick up the eye, you don't get sapped up immediately since it's away from pillars, but it does put you out kind of in the open. You don't really have anything to hide behind. Sepsis forcing out Trinket out of Zafix with a quick kidney shot. Immediate Trinket because he doesn't want to find out if the Rogue got big damage. Vanished out of Sep. Does get cleaved though, but he's still in stealth. He does get cleaved by the Divine Storm, but he's still in stealth. Still trying to see if he can maybe make this work. Now, we don't really know if Deathmark is available for Sepsis at all. It's not like a Vendetta that shows up as a debuff. It's a different debuff now. But the game doesn't really register as a debuff or buff or burst ability yet. And hopefully in the future build it well. Gonna be a big Deathmark. Got all the bleeds onto Zap. Does he have all the poisons too? Massively just burns through that Shield of Vengeance. Zap could die. Oh, Sepsis turns it around on the Paladin. Bled him out and dry. It looks like Dalox is potentially giving this man an opportunity to get a proper restyle. The Rogue did just commit a lot of offensive cooldowns versus that Pally. Versus Dalox, he's only got defensives. He does have Cheat Death, potentially Trinket. I think all these guys have a Trinket actually. It's just not showing up in the UI at all. As Dalox sitting in the Consecration, Mark for Death, letting the Rogue walk in. Immediate Trinket with a blind for Dalox. Sepsis could Trinket it, goes for a blind. Does he get a bop or a bubble out of Dalox? This is not happening. Not happening, but at least now you don't have to worry about a Trinket. So this will force Dalox to start committing all those immunities in order to survive it. Sepsis, if he times a Cloak of Shadows right, he can avoid a Hodge and maybe use a sprint to get behind the pillar. He could potentially, he has Cheat Death, potentially maybe even a Trinket. So I think, honestly, if he plays his cards right, as long as he avoids getting bursted by the Paladin outright, I think the Rogue actually could bring it back for his team. Trying to see if he can get some damage in. Got himself the Kyrian Burst too. Is going to go for a shield versus Dalox. Hand of Freedom, trying to see if he can catch up to the Scoundrel as Dalox is bleeding profusely. He needs to worry about his own health. Main to start cleansing those poisons more often. Because this man is taking a bit of damage. 24% dampening, and eventually Sepsis can bleed you out dry. He's going to catch a reset, get another kidney shot on you, get you super low. He's going to force out a defensive out of you, whether you like it or not. Cloak of Shadows before a Hammer of Justice comes out. I don't know if Dalox already tried to go for a Hodge. Potentially the similar animation. Getting a shot, and this is where Sepsis trying to see if he can maybe get some more bleeds in. Gonna be evasion, try to see if he can stay in there. Shield of Vengeance, not really gonna stop you. Try to see if maybe you can take him down. Bubble out of Dalox does force it out, and Sepsis got himself the advantage back up. Actually has himself an opportunity to win. He has Cheat Death. He just needs a little bit more health, or he needs to be very, very clean with his CC. He needs to make sure there's a Garrode, and then chain a Garrode into a full kidney. Just goes into kidney instead. Gonna be full setup. Gonna be human racial out of Dalox. Still melting right now though, and the Rogue does end up taking it back for his team, boys. Assassination Rogue makes a return for the first time in Dragonflight. So far in the PTR, Rogues have not been performing well at all. Q-Rax with them 4, Wide with them 3, and Athema with them 2. These boys are going out here, giving it the best, giving it their all, and that's exactly what I like to see from the 5v5 1v1 duels. I think this is the first duel so far.